Welcome to Flyover Conservative Podcast with David and Stacy Whited, where we break down current events and examine culture through the lens of conservative Christian values. Yay! Welcome! We are so excited to be with you today. If you're new to Flyover Conservatives, our slogan is wake up, speak up, and show up. We all wanted President Trump to do 80 million things to save our country. Oh, that would have been amazing. But what we've learned over these last couple of years, what we really need is 80 million of us doing one thing every single day to save our own country.
And we are thankfully partnered with you. If you're watching this show, that means you're somebody that is probably interested in gaining truth. We try to have the best minds and topics, coming along every day. And not just learning the information and be able to take it and go run with it.
Yes.
And it's an honor to be a part of that. So we upload to 60 platforms every day. If you're on Rumble, if you're on one of these platforms, please hit like, please hit follow, and you get notified when we go live and when things come out. And if you're on Twitter, we just recently started Flyover Conservative Twitter account, and we could certainly use some love there. It's just FO Conservatives on Twitter, or X, as all the kids are calling it nowadays. But we would love to see you there as well, and interact with you. And you can even if you don't like us, you can go on the Twitter and be like, "You guys suck. I hate you." And we'll be like, and we'll be like, "All right, great. You're a follower though. We need one. Thank you." That
is exactly right. So as you guys can see, today in Kansas City is Red Friday for the Chiefs. Oh my God.
I have to be subtle. When act like it's not like new money. Act like somebody's never been there before. Like, don't act like you've never been to a Super Bowl in 50 years. We've been to 3 of the last 5, 1, 2. So
pretty incredible.
I don't know. New money when it comes to Super Bowl stuff. But it is a thing where it does bring everybody together. You're in Kansas City, you go to the bank or the grocery store, anywhere on a Friday, and everybody's on the same page.
It's true.
Brings us all together.
That is exactly right. Okay, so this is interesting. We read an article today which backs up things that you have been saying for a long time. You have always said that the Democrat Party is the party of angry women and weak men. Well, we actually have an article to back this up.
Scientifically proven.
I know. It says physically strong men.
That is not a Democrat on the screen out there.
Seen as more conservative, university study finds. So check this out, y'all. It says the study found that men who seem fit and healthy and have some bulk are considered right-wing, while thin and weak-looking men were not assumed to lean right. So it said the study asked 203 students, primarily women, to guess the political ideology of 8 men while also ranking how strong they might be. The results showed that those thought of as strong were ranked as leaning to the right, while those deemed weak were not ranked as conservative. It's so interesting.
And I think they take that from a historical, or kind of, they have an evolutionary kind of person in there that says, like, historically, you had to be stronger, you would compete for resources, and if you were weaker, you had to kind of like, sniffle your way around the back door and politically get your way. And that's kind of where we see their hands on a lot of levers of control today. Somebody who could not take you on head on, but they kind of go that way. So, I don't know, but it is a kind of a sign of personal responsibility. It's conservative value. Take care of yourself. I don't know where it all goes, but definitely when you look at these policies and you look at how they unfold, it definitely seems that people who could probably go get a deer, people who could probably change a tire, people that could do something you probably hire to fix your plumbing or get something done, are probably going to be a conservative value. Soy-based people, kind of a little bit more like this guy we got coming up here, who wants to get rid of real meat and use laboratory meat, and he's got a soy-based brain for sure. Let's run a little clip of Bill Gates real quick.
Cows and other grass-eating species have a digestion system that emits methane. And methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And so we need to change cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat. And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
Do you eat it as well, or do you like it?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
You can go to Burger King and buy the Impossible Burger.
All right. Is it healthier for you, or just healthier for the atmosphere?
It's slightly healthier for you in terms of less cholesterol. It's, of course, dramatic reduction in methane emissions, animal cruelty, manure management, and the pressure that meat consumption puts on land use.
Wow, that is crazy. Just hearing his voice is irritating.
I tell you what, there's a group of people in this world. It's a small number, but they're connected to the World Economic Forum, and that you don't see them. They're not elected. Nobody voted for these people. Nobody wanted them. And the only real solutions they bring to the table are solutions to problems they've created. We've seen that over the last 3 years. It's a similar thing to throwing nails in the street, and then, hey, guess what? I sell tires. And you're kind of there. Or you come along with a can of Fix-A-Flat, you sell it at an increased price to a market that you created. We're going to get into some stuff that you probably are aware of. You watch this show regularly, but there is an attack on every facet of the way that you live, and it's an attack to change it and then sell you the solution. That's what this group of people are doing.
Make money.
It is. And we're gonna kind of do a series and kind of keep pulling back the curtain, because you need to be proactive. If you have people that depend on you, if you have a family, if you've got grandchildren, if you're in a place where if the supply to food is hampered, kinked, cut off, what do you do? What is your solution? And we've been vetting this out. We've gone through probably 12 different meat suppliers, because we realized, number one, we eat a lot of meat. We
like meat.
We are meat eaters. On the spectrum of vegetarian to, we're like over here on this space. And we think it is important. And there's thousands of doctors around the world that have signed on. Meat consumption, protein consumption from a legitimate God-created meat source is important. But do you have that lined out? You need to find somebody at farmer's market, find somebody that can connect you to a real meat producer, not just the local grocer. Do you have access to them if they change it? Well, we have somebody that we've met that has kind of dedicated a pretty good chunk of their effort and energy towards a solution that's not just good, it's actually great. And we have him right here with us today, Mr. Kyle Shirley.
Yay!
How are y'all?
Good.
Great. Welcome, Kyle. We are really looking forward to this because, as you know, we've talked, before, we really love meat. We love beef a lot. And so this is going to be a great conversation.
I want to kind of dive into some of these things with you because you've been at the front end, and I want to kind of start with your take on what you've been witnessing in this process. A number I want to bring to people's attention. We have a graph. People probably aren't aware, but this has been going on for a while. There are less cows in America today than there was in 1980, and there's a lot more people. You can see this graph on here. The number of cows in America is slowly went up until it's in the mid 130 million cows. And then it's been curtailed, cut back, shrunk. They've worked out the supply chain, basically cutting this down to where now it's gone from 130 million to just under 90 million heads of cattle in America.
And the population's increased.
Population has done nothing but this, and they're shrinking this back to create a false sense of lack of supply. Tell us your perspective on this, and how did you get into the cattle business here?
Well, my perspective is they're just they're pushing the green agenda and saying just the opposite of what is true to make it tough for the average farmer. So there's less and less generations taking over. For profit reasons, a lot of reasons. Big packers, we could really get off on a lot of stuff today, but they do everything they can to make it complicated to do it at least at that degree, and. I am originally from a different business, but I came across a great family, the Harris family, and they were into Wagyu genetics. And I started off completely different, all grass-fed, South Pole cattle, which are a breed from Teddy Gentry, from the group Alabama, all about grass-fed. And then he started telling me about this Wagyu and how it still keeps its omega-3s and 6s, even though if it eats grain and just all this nutrition. It's like he just blew me away with his vision, and him and his family, and along with me, as far as the Ozark Valley beef part of it, partnered up to get into the everyday family. I mean, for me, I was all about grass-fed genetics, and we could talk about that for hours. That'd be another episode. But the difference between Wagyu and how you can have the best of both worlds, still have all the high omega-3s, all the omega-6s, and all the good stuff, and without all the bad stuff.
Now,
That's huge with a flavor that is unbelievable.
It's an incredible product. That's why it's famous. I think that, and I've eaten more beef than I would even probably be proud to admit.
You've done carnivore diets where all you ate was meat.
Sean Baker's been on our show. We followed, Jordan Peterson and his journey and Michaela Peterson and their journey with this and the benefits of all that. But I didn't realize, I thought Wagyu, it only had come from Japan, and you had to be like Drake or somebody like that, so like a billionaire to even have access to it. I didn't know that there was even an option for that.
And what does Wagyu mean? What does that mean exactly?
It just means Japanese cow. I mean, there's different versions, just like there's red Angus and black Angus. There's black Wagyu and there's red Wagyu. Hide color makes a difference, especially in Missouri on fescue. Lighter color do much better as far as mainly, black cows really weren't designed to be in Missouri and on fescue, because of their heat tolerance. So it's just a better animal to be at the right place. To me, it's almost animal cruelty to have a black cow in Missouri because of the hide color. But anyway, it just goes back to sustainable, holistic type, husbandry of animals. And you got to start off with the right breed that can do all these amazing things, but also can withstand the heat and the fescue grass. So it's just doing the best of both worlds, as far as food and also, for husbandry for the animals.
Now we've been kind of vetting this out for probably maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and
trying
the product. And I'd never tried. I knew there was like maybe a restaurant in New York that had Wagyu beef or something. I'd heard of this, but not had actually ever experienced it myself. And it is dramatically different.
I mean, you could taste a difference between Wagyu and regular cow, because we buy a half a cow every year, and it's excellent. I can tell a difference between the half a cow that we buy and what you would get at the grocery store. But there is a difference between the half a cow that we buy and the Wagyu. I mean, it is like, even our daughter-in-law came over and we made steaks one night, and she's like, I mean, this is unbelievable. There is a difference.
I'm actually also a carnivore. And as far as Michaela Peterson, we've sold her and her husband 2 whole cows.
Wow.
Love it. They love the product. They don't even buy the steaks. They just we want whole cows.
That's amazing.
It is an incredible product, different than regular beef. And I want to kind of highlight this difference because you live in Missouri. We're in Missouri. Obviously, we're chiefed up today. They need all the help they can get right now. They're 0-1, unvictorious football team. But I'm proud of the fact that you're from Missouri, and I'm familiar with the laws and things going on here. We do a lot of work with Attorney Thomas Rentz. And there was a bill that was presented to the state of Missouri. And I want to highlight this to people because if you're listening to this and you're in Oregon or you're in New York or you're in California, Missouri is about as red of a state as our shirts. It is top to bottom, Republican controlled, pretty much every position. And in some areas that really, is good. When it comes to pro-life, it's pretty much an abortion-free state. There's a lot of things they kind of unified on, and there's fruit from that. They presented a bill. Make sure people are aware of this. The vaccines that were presented and pushed so hard, mRNA technology, they're not limiting that to you agreeing and going in and having a shot. They are moving that into the food supply. It's not a theory. It's not something that might be 10 years from now. It's a now thing. And so they presented a bill here in Missouri. We did quite a few shows on it. We had Thomas Rentz on talking about
1169.
it. Yep, House Bill 1169 in the state of Missouri. And just to simplify this for you guys, all it said is we're not even telling you can't inject whatever chemicals and whatever you can make in Wuhan labs. You can't, we're not even telling you can't do it. All that they were asking is if you do that, put it on the label. That was so
that we know.
We at least tell us if you're gonna give us mRNA technology, please show the courtesy of telling me you're putting that into the animal and that's what I'm going to be eating. And they couldn't get it passed in Missouri. So again, top to bottom red. If you're in New York, you're California, you're Oregon, you're Washington, you're someplace like that, they're probably promoting to get it. I don't know, but this is a state by state thing. And this was a test. This was the model. If they could get this legislation in Missouri, it would have set a precedent in other states. They couldn't get it done here. That's how powerful is going on behind the scenes. You were kind of more at the front end of that. Can you?
You've had a relationship. In fact, we have a picture of you with Bill Harwick. Tell a little bit about that and kind of what you've experienced with this bill that didn't go through.
Yes, Bill Harwick is an awesome man, and he worked really hard along with Thomas, and but they just couldn't get it through, even in the red. I mean, it was really more coming down. I think a lot of pressure from the Cattle Association, which probably is listens more to what big packers say than what local farmers do, and
Sure.
And he got pretty harassed about it and threatened in lots of ways. I mean, and it shouldn't have been, and it's not a left or right issue. And you have to even go conspiracy theories, regardless of what it is. So why would they fight so hard just not to say what was in it? It didn't affect any of us. So it really wasn't the decision was made for us as producers. It was for a much bigger thing than what it really was. And they worked really, really hard on it. But Bill is just an awesome, honest guy. He's just going to tell you the truth. And no matter what they would pressure him with, or you'll never get funding and all this, whatever he went through, he didn't go into full detail. He's that kind of person, but he went through a lot of pressure to try to get it done, and it still didn't pass. And there's
Baffling.
no reason. It is.
It is baffling because there was nothing in there with any teeth as far as you can't do it. It was just, please tell me. Please tell me. It's almost like going to a restaurant and saying, you know what? I'm not even telling you can't spit in my food back in the kitchen.
But at least tell me
if you're gonna spit in my food in the kitchen, tell me you did. I mean, at least tell me. You can do it, but just tell me. It's that kind of a bill. They couldn't get it done in Missouri, which is baffling. So I got to ask you this question: if people, and again, our goal here is creating sources, and for Flyover Family, if it's not this one, find somebody that you trust, that is going to be caring about the food you're getting in the same way you would care about what you're giving to your grandchildren. That kind of where do you guys stand on this issue? And is there mRNA technology in your Wagyu beef?
First of all, absolutely not. There's no hormones, no growth hormones. All of our cattle are raised right here on the farm. It never leaves to go to a food lot. It goes from farm to table right on the place. They get, Wagyu, unlike the rest of them, they can still have grain, but still produce high, 3s and 6s, So in fact, as we feed them now, they actually still get grass and still, are in forms of hay and stuff like this, because we're trying to keep from getting too marbled. Like our hamburger meat, what makes our hamburger meat so healthy is like on a conventional cow, they literally use all the extra fat. Well, in order for us to stay 80-20, we literally have to shave every ounce of bark fat off that cow just to keep it at 80-20. And when you think about healthy fat or easy fat, or healthy fat, to keep it simple, is the inner muscular is the healthy, and the outside is what they claim is not healthy, even though it still is. But that's a different podcast for a different day. So our hamburger is 100% inner muscular meat, just like a ribeye. And so you're getting that higher monosaturated fat, that good oleic acid type fat that actually reduces cholesterol, not only give you good cholesterol, and Harris family have done such an awesome job with their genetics and to produce these cattle. And they work really hard every day and do an awesome job. They're like I say, they stay here and no growth hormones. That's why a lot of them they can butcher at 18 months. Ours go for 28 months. Because they're still getting some more natural things and doing it natural. And so, you kind of get what you pay for. It's, and our BMS score, when you think about prime or select, figure the best you're at the grocery store, you look at it and it's a prime. Well, ours is like BS8, you got prime 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to A5 Kobe Wagyu. We're like BS8. So it's nothing even close, even being able to raise them the way that we do and still keep the health benefits of all aspects of it. So they've done a really good job of the way they handle the cattle. They drink from purified water stations. They don't sit there and slop in mud or anything. And
Wow.
they
And
Your
will,
then how
cows,
about
your
the
cows, your cows probably live a better lifestyle than most of our listeners.
I know. How about the processing, Kyle? Like, so now it's time to butcher. What does that look like?
well, that's another big difference that people don't realize. Even like with your local type butchers, your local farms, we have a choice of how to get it processed. I mean, we have a choice. Like where the basically has the same principles and practices and production as a big packer, where they're talking about aging. They call it wet aging. Well, that's basically spraying it with a form of acid, and then it goes in water versus doing it correctly and doing the aging process. And the way we do it, we could get it done the other way for much much cheaper, you know. But it's like 3 times as much to get it done properly, especially with a great company that knows how to really cut, especially Wagyu. Because y'all talked about a Denver steak. With Wagyu, you get Denver steaks. For a lot of your other cattle, you don't even get a Denver steak because there's not enough marbling. So you have steaks available to you that you didn't have before because of all of the marbling we have all the way throughout to all the way to the tip of his toe. Literally.
Wow. And the packaging is fabulous. Here, actually pull it out real fast because
Grab one. Here.
yeah, because it is excellent. So it doesn't leak. So when you go to defrost it, it doesn't leak, which I think is
It's like
really
rock
important.
hard, even on your doorstep.
Yeah. So even when we received it,
Yeah.
the packaging in the mail was outstanding. But I think the thing that's important to look at too is the price. The price, that's something that we've talked about before, where you're getting a Mercedes,
Yeah,
but it's not that much more than you would pay for,
if you can kind of see
normal
their
car.
See their package. Got maybe a little frosty.
Pull it back here so you
There.
can actually see it.
There we
you
go. Out of focus. We got these new cameras that kind of pretty fancy here.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
you
there
got
we go.
that, and we have the beef Denver steak that you were just hearing about from Kyle. Just excellent. And then let's look at the site. You can use when you go to ozarkwagyu.com, and it's wagyu.com. Use promo code flyover. But let's look at the different things and ways that you can get the meat. Kyle, do you want to break that
And maybe
down too?
kind of talk about the price. I've talked to some friends about it. I said it's kind of like buying a Mercedes at the price of an entry level Toyota. Now it's kind of how do you kind of break down your pricing there a little bit, because again, this is not going to be the cheapest option, but it's not much more. And you're talking hamburger, and you break it down per pound, it's pretty reasonable into probably what you're paying now, but not even a similar product. You'd also guarantee that there's no hormones or mRNA technology.
And you have to taste it, Flyover family, because it's amazing. So tell us a little bit about that, Kyle. What are the different ways that they can buy it? And then what does that look like when it goes to be shipped?
Pretty much going to our website, everything's pretty much self-explanatory. We've kept it very, very simple. As far as pricing, it's the way that the Harris family, the way they've done their production, having everything in-house, is taking a product that's normally, substantially more expensive and got it back down closer to something in the happy medium. It's a little bit more than you would get, but but what you're getting with Wagyu, the premiums a lot of people get on it, we're much lower than that. We're not trying to turn this. It's a family farm that's just trying to get a quality product out there. We ship it to your door with dry ice. It stays frozen. They talk about fresh, never frozen. That's for their benefit. By the time you, on the average grocery store, by the time you get to, it's like 45 days old at least. Anything the freshest you can have is flash frozen right after processing. So this whole case of it's not fresh. No, it's fresher. It's not fresh. It's fresher than anything else you can get. And it's right to your door. Anything over $200, free shipping anywhere. There might be some things about California at the very, very tip. There are a couple of rough places, but pretty much throughout the United States, there's a couple of places that we have to maybe do an overnight or something that's a little bit separate. But pretty much anywhere else in the United States, door to door within 5 days. And we ship out every Monday. We don't ship every day because we want to make sure that no matter what happens, even with a UPS type delay, that nothing goes over the weekend. Make sure it goes out. So we pretty much take the orders throughout the week, and we send out everything on Monday just for that reason. So if you think as far as timing, that's why we do it. We want to make sure it's frozen solid, that it's quality delivered. And that's the best way we can do that, by doing that on Monday.
That's awesome. OzarkWagyu.com. And again, it's WAGYU.com. I sent some home with our son, and he has basic gas grill. It's not smoker. It's not any kind of anything else elaborate. Basic gas grill. He took it home, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, put it on there, boom, brought it in, and his wife was like, dude, you're like the greatest chef ever.
Man.
You are the man, because this is like the best steak I've ever had. And it was like, did nothing else to it. Because the beef is so much better than anything else. And I just think it's a great way, Flyover family, that you can, number one, have a resource that you have access to. Number two, try it out. If you want, it's your birthday, you're doing something, go ribeye, get something, neat if you want to really go all out and do something. But they have a lot of different cuts of beef that are incredibly affordable. You get the hamburger, you can try these things out. It's safe, and kind of treat yourself for just slightly more. So it's kind of a great solution and a great answer all the way around. We wouldn't, make this possible if it wasn't like a win-win for everybody, but you're supporting a real farmer that actually has a farm.
Yeah.
This isn't some big factory someplace, but it's real beef that God created and not altered with, in a world where they are legitimately trying to squeeze that out and force you to eat bugs and beef that's made in a laboratory from scratch. I mean, think about that for a moment. That's kind of the world we're in. We're trying to present some solutions. We think the world of Kyle, Shirley, and have loved our relationship over the last couple of months of kind of getting educated on what this is about, to make sure that it's a win for you. It's a win all the way around, and we love the product.
So thank you, Kyle, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Okay, Flyover family, we made a small mistake.
We forgot the most important part.
We're still amateurs at this, but this is good news, a good update, a good piece of information for you.
You get 15% off when you use promo code FLYOVER. So go to OzarkWagyu.com, OzarkWagyu.com. Use promo code FLYOVER, and you get 15% off on your purchase.
All orders over $200 are complete free shipping, which is a pretty good deal as well, no matter where you live. So go there, check it out today. Get a steak. Let us know in the comments. Send us an email. Send us a text. Tell us what you think. I think this is almost an idiot-proof kind of steak. Even if you're not real good on the grill, even if you don't have some fancy green egg, salt and pepper, put it on for a few minutes, flip it over. You can't mess it up because it's that good. Go there and check it out.
Hey guys, Frank Cox here. I'm here with my buddy Kyle from over there at Ozark Valley Ozark Valley Beef Company. We're going to cook up some Wagyu beef burgers today on the Santa Maria grill using this flat top. Boom. Can you put too much cheese on a burger? Take your time. We're not trying to push through it. All right, guys, I get to take a bite now. Check it out. Here we go. Anyway, OzarkWagyu.com. Get on over there, get your burger. I'm gonna eat the rest of this right in front of you.
Our founding fathers evolved the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Our favorite segment of the week, where we get a chance to look through the lens of a pro, somebody who knows what
they're actually doing.
They're doing. Somebody who FOIA requests and kicks over rocks. And
We actually learned that word from her.
And speaks truth to power, literally, because she does the work of an actual journalist. But it's an incredible way to go through the Twitter feed and see the questions you'd ask, like, oh, what's really going on behind that one thing? She's former Fox News producer, Major League Baseball, Newsmax, the current producer of The Absolute Truth with Emerald Robinson. She's the one, the only Breanna Morello.
Yay!
Oh, another great introduction. Thank you so much, David and Stacey.
And we didn't mention the supercomputer brain.
I know, she is brilliant.
Supercomputer brain.
Great communication skills.
Powered by Red Bull.
Powered by Red Bull. That's right.
May or may not be sponsored by Red Bull. You
Yeah.
need like a patch or something like
No
that,
kidding.
like Lance Armstrong or a NASCAR driver, somebody like that, sponsored by Red Bull. But it gives us a chance to look at the news
Yes.
through your eyes and your brain, because you do understand all the angles. So you ready to jump into this?
Let's do this.
All right.
right.
So Avery's not here this week, so we do not have her making the cool stuff. So we actually have to go off our phone, and Colton's running it there. Oh, that looks pretty good, though, Colton.
And you guys
Good
can
job.
go get firsthand access to this as well. It is a good follow. If you're not a Twitter person, it's a good place to go. If this was the only thing you went for, Breanna Morello, you can go to BreannaMorello.com, and it'll actually redirect you there. She also gets down and sometimes in the weeds and tangles and wrestles around a bit with those who are naive enough to come in and challenge her, that kind of walk in there with a pocket knife to a gunfight and they don't even know what they got into. It's kind of neat to see as well.
That is exactly right. Well, let's actually talk about the illegal immigrants in Arizona being detained in an outdoor Border Patrol holding area yesterday in Tucson, Arizona. But you said, hey, AOC, we just found your next backdrop for your next photo shoot.
Those of you that don't remember that one. So let's go back and fill in the history of that, Brianna.
Yeah, well, obviously, as many of you may know, this was a very dramatized photo shoot that AOC participated in. And it was her outside in a parking lot, of course. She doesn't want you to know about that. But she's fake crying about there being kids in cages. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrifying. And this was, of course, done during the President Trump years. Fast forward, well, even if you rewind, during the Barack Obama years, she didn't stage a photo shoot. And we know that those cages were actually built by the Obama administration. And fast forward now, we have the same issue. These individuals are being kept in cages, as you see there, fenced in, gated off, and there's no outrage over this. It's the same scandal as they painted it up to be back in the Trump era. And now they've all suddenly gone silent. Illegal immigration is a big issue here. And they don't want to talk about it, about how it's mainly single young men who are coming into our country. And I lack empathy for them, because these men are of fighting age. And if their countries that they're fleeing were really this horrendous, wouldn't you want to fight to maintain and to keep up your country and try to, or at least just try to get it back? And they've obviously all given up, and they're coming to our country like cowards and fleeing, and they're leaving their women and children at home. And so I lack empathy for these individuals completely.
I can't picture that. If America was under attack, and I'm fearful for my life, producer Colton and I take off and go hide out in the woods in Canada, leave Stacey and Avery behind. It's like
sad.
I don't see it happening. For one, I wouldn't make it far because she would kill me.
You ain't leaving me.
Like I would need asylum. I would need asylum from her.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation. I mean, they're just cowards. I don't want them in this country, because you should be fighting for your country. And anyone who flees when your country is under attack or is just going through, a lot, I would totally want them to fight. And I don't want you here, because you're not going to fight for us. And you don't embody what the American beliefs really are at that point.
And that is a really good point.
Do you see that kind of consistently, though? Like, I remember, right before the 2020 election, there was a documentary out called Kill Chain, and it was about how unreliable the voting machines were, and it was pretty much all Democrats. But then 5 minutes after the 2020 election, it was like, there's nothing to see here. What are you talking about? I mean, it featured Kamala Harris. It featured all of the usual suspects. And then afterwards, like, this is the most secure and safe election we've ever had. What are you talking about? This is amazing. They don't have a predetermined moral compass. Do you see that? I mean, you report on this stuff every day. They just kind of like, what do I need to say today? Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, but they're really good at that. Like, they're really good at like targeting at your emotions. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but the White House sent out emails to the press corps and was pretty much telling them how to spin this whole impeachment inquiry. We're saying that there's no evidence. And then they were even sending out quotes from Republicans two members of the media. One of them was from Mitt Romney saying that he sees no evidence, which is not the idea of an impeachment inquiry. It's to find the evidence. But we already have, I mean, we've got it, right? We've got like the bank records. We've got Joe Biden's own admission on video. We've got Hunter Biden's stupid laptop with all of like the evidence pointing to him in emails. We have all of his fake email addresses and fake names that he was using. I mean, we've got it all, right? But CNN, MSNBC, they're not reporting on it. But the White House wants you to keep pushing that narrative. Like, don't report on it, don't cover the evidence, but say that there's no evidence so that your audience doesn't go out and try to search for it. They're just so good at it. Like, it's so well orchestrated. And unfortunately, on the conservative side, we don't do that type of thing. Some of us have ethics, and some of us won't be partaking in any of that nonsense. But the White House is literally going out there telling the media what to say, and the media is going out there and just saying it, and they're backing those claims. And it's CNN, for an example. CNN has members of the Kamala Harris presidential campaign working from their comms team now working over at CNN. There's also members of the Biden administration who are also working for CNN. So they've got all their people in all the right places to kind of spin this. And it's unfortunate, but their audience is really losing out on just the information that's already out there. And they're dumb enough to argue with us and say that there's no proof. There is proof. We have the proof. We have the evidence. But unfortunately, the media is not telling you about it.
What would you do?
True.
What would you do at the Amber Robinson Absolute Truth Show? What would you do if you got an email from President Trump and said, "Hey, we're taking a lot of heat. I want you to say this week"?
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't do so.
No.
Emerald's been fair. Yeah, she's been fair completely. Even her time when she covered the Trump administration, she was fair. She asked the hard questions. She wasn't just throwing him softballs the entire time. And even this week, we covered the Megyn Kelly interview where she asked him about COVID. We covered his response, and we're fair and balanced about that. So while we praise him for all the great things that he's done for the country, we're also not afraid to give criticism, and we don't take our talking points from the administration, and that's key.
Yes.
It's huge.
You brought that up. So
Yeah.
you can go to frankspeech.com to find The Absolute Truth with Emerald Robinson. So that's a great place and a great show to watch for sure. All right, so you brought up Hunter Biden, and Greg Price put out breaking. Hunter Biden has been indicted on 3 counts related to his 2018 purchase of a handgun in which he lied about not being a drug addict on the federal license form. And then you said, don't be fooled. This right here is an illusion of accountability. Interesting. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so obviously if you were following it, the original plea agreement got totally tossed by the judge, and rightfully so. But the only reason why that happened was because these IRS whistleblowers came forward and pretty much said that there were a bunch of crimes that were committed and that the DOJ was negotiating a sweetheart deal. And so then that same prosecutor that negotiated the sweetheart deal all of a sudden now is named the special prosecutor, which if Republicans had any guts would challenge that, because you can't work for the U.S. government and be a special prosecutor at the same time. You have to come from the private sector to be a special prosecutor. But of course, they have not challenged that. And so now the special prosecutor, David Weiss, is now the one who is indicting Hunter Biden on these gun charges. But he was the one who gave him the sweetheart deal in the first place. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like there is some type of accountability here. But what you're going to see is there's probably going to be a challenge whether or not that they could actually file these charges against him. His legal team's going to challenge it because there's some experts who actually think it's unconstitutional just based on statute. And so he might have a legal argument for that. But that's the reason why they're specifically writing it as they are. So then he could sit there and say, well, we tried, we filed the charges, and then the courts told us it was unconstitutional, so we have to cut him loose. But just remember, if it was you or me and we somehow lied on our background checks and we had a drug addiction and we lied about it, we disposed of a weapon, how we weren't supposed to dispose of it, like outside of a high school, we would all be in prison probably for 10 plus years. So it's gonna be a cushy prosecution, and it's gonna end up with saying, well, we tried holding him accountable, but unfortunately, the law isn't written to hold Hunter Biden accountable, and so they'll just throw up their hands and pretend like they tried, but they didn't try. And Republicans are in it too. Like I said, they're not even trying to challenge any of this.
It's kind of missing the whole point.
Yep.
It's a little bit like letting somebody who was involved in the masterminding of 9/11, like letting them off for participation in helping somebody fly a plane without a license or something. It's like that's kind of not even the point of the whole process. It keeps the attention from going there. And I think there's a lot of people, probably conservatives, that'll feel like, hey, at least we got a win. At least we got something, because we're so gaslit and so conditioned that Hillary Clinton can destroy phones and all these things, and it's like a nothing burger. So it's like just to get something to happen to someone over there, they'll probably like, well, that's a win. And they kind of missed the whole point.
Yeah, they're untouchable. They're an untouchable class, and it's always going to be that way, unfortunately, until Republicans get some backbone in them. But they don't want to touch these things. They don't want to get involved because they're afraid that they're going to be next. I mean, we're seeing it happen all over the place, right? Anyone who has a spine and jumps out and tries to hold everyone accountable, like we see like Ken Paxton in Texas has been doing. He's going through an entire impeachment trial, even though if you've been watching the trial, there's no evidence against him. And they've gotten witness after witness to have to admit that there is no evidence of corruption or bribery or any of these things they alleged. It's just this fake cooked up, we'll say from the Bush family, bed of lies that they've been pushing. But as you all probably know, Ken Paxton has been giving the Biden DOJ and the administration. So that's a hard time on anything that they push forward with all these lawsuits that he's been piling up. It made him an easy target. And so everyone's seeing this and nobody wants to get involved and hold these people accountable because they don't want to be next. It's very expensive and it's damaging to their reputation. If you have political aspirations, you're not getting involved.
Wow. All right, are you ready for the next one?
Makes me sick.
I know. All right, let's talk about mummified aliens.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
This is interesting. Breaking. Alleged mummified alien corpses displayed at Mexico's Congress today, suspected to be 1,000 years old. And you said,
snap.
While some of you claim these are mummified alien corpses, the intel community sees these are two viable U.S. candidates. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
Are they gonna run for office? They could be. Those are like Senate candidates for sure.
Yeah, I mean they are. And if they're not able to run for office, they're definitely going to be voting in 2024 for whatever Democratic candidate lands on the ballot for sure. I mean, it looks so fake. What are the odds of there being aliens that look like ET? But mainly, this is just such a fake news story. But yet again, this came out at the same time the impeachment inquiry came out. I think the whole alien story is being pushed by the intel community, right? Because everyone's like, oh, aliens, distraction. And you don't see things that are really important. So I wouldn't really bite this one too much on this story. It looks fake. I mean, this guy just like, he's like, look at all my research. And he's like, take it off. And they even like, they're like, oh yeah, it has retractable necks. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it looks so fake. But yeah, I mean, this could be Mitch McConnell. This could be Mitch McConnell. This could be Dianne Feinstein. This could be Joe Biden. This could be so many of these promising candidates for the intel community. Who knows?
That is funny.
You know what's funny is like conservatives have sort of become the I don't know, the marker for trying to like push back on conspiracy theories, and the left has become like the National Enquirer.
Yeah, no kidding.
On these things.
Yeah.
It's I mean, the stuff that happens on the left is so crazy. There's the lady running for office in Virginia that's like involved in like a pay for play sex video program, and they're standing behind her. It's like, this is like
she's raising money for a campaign.
She's using it to raise money for her campaign by like doing online sex acts, and it's like they're so far goofy that it is all National Enquirer stuff you would never believe is real. But
yeah,
that's a normal Tuesday in the Democratic Party now.
They support the craziest candidates and they push them forward as if it's like legit. Republicans, and that's why I'm always like, man, leave all these other candidates alone who come out and they find dirt on them. Oh, he lied about such and such. That New York congressman, for an example, who lied about his entire background. He's an individual who, when they were coming out, I'm like, yeah, these are awful, but you know what? Let it go. This is still an individual who hasn't committed a heinous crime as of yet. So why not? But this is the difference, right? So he's in Congress. Democrats are really upset. Then they get the Department of Justice involved. They comb through every ounce of document he's ever filed, whether it's the IRS or any type of finance document. And then they start popping up all these crimes because most Americans, yes, you probably have committed a crime, a felony, without even knowing it because there's so many laws out there. They find it and they indict him and they go after him because they want to destroy him because he won't resign from his role, right? So they destroy this guy's career, his reputation, and all of this. But Republicans will never do that. They'll never go after the left with the same level of energy. And although I would say I would condemn it on both sides, at this point you got to fight fire with fire, and you got to do it too. So it's just always going to be this type of situation with these people. I mean, we just kind of when scandals pop up, you kind of just, and it's on the Republican side, you kind of just say, is it really that bad? Because it's probably worse on the left, and they don't throw their own to the fire. They support them regardless.
I wonder why people like Dan Quayle, think like he's like, I misspelled potato, and you crushed me. It's like he's got to be looking at what's going on nowadays. Some of these people like Gary Hart, I don't remember what his deal. He had an affair or something like that, and it's like destroyed the guy's life. They got to they got to be looking at today's political landscape and being like, hey, I got a clean record. I never killed somebody on camera.
Right. Yeah, you want to talk about unqualified politicians. Let's talk about your next thing here. Yeah.
Potato is your transition
So
term
let's talk about Senator Fetterman reacts to Speaker McCarthy moving forward with a House impeachment inquiry into POTUS. Let's play this video real fast, and then we'll come back and get your take on it.
Ask you about this news that Speaker McCarthy has formally launched an impeachment or has said he's going to.
Oh my God, really? Oh my gosh, it's devastating. Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it. Oh no, oh no.
We gotta run back to the office, but
So interesting, because you said, I'm confused. Why is a reporter asking a janitor about impeachment? Because that's what it looks like. Wow.
Yeah. He's disgusting. Normally I wouldn't pick on anyone's appearances, but at this point, when you're a U.S. senator and you can't even dress like an adult, like a functioning adult, and you just suffered a stroke a couple of years ago, and you haven't decided to lose weight and take care of yourself, I lack empathy for him as well. I know, and also his wife is a communist too. So let's just go all out there with these people. I don't lack empathy for any of them. He's a joke, right? So he's sitting here trying to crack a joke and he thinks it's funny. But the reality of it is he's a joke. He looks like garbage. He walks around the Senate looking like garbage. He can't even find a shirt that fits him like the functioning adult that he should be. And he can't even walk. I mean, he's so obese that he could barely stand up and walk without having to get one of his staffers to hold his hand and walk him down. But mainly, I mean, that same staffer too, I don't know if you guys recall, but he was exposed, I believe it was in a James O'Keefe video. He was exposed, that staffer to his left was exposed for pretty much saying that Fetterman would support completely getting rid of the Second Amendment and gun rights for all legal gun owners. And so don't be fooled here. This guy is a clown, but most importantly, he's a communist. And I just don't, everyone thought this was like funny in a way, his reaction, but I have zero respect for him. I think he's a horrible person.
In addition to all that, it's not like you're not punching down here. This is a guy that grew up in the most affluent environment ever, wealthy, had everything the world going for him. He had every break, every door open, and every opportunity he's gotten. He was the mayor of a town that he destroyed. And it seems to me today in politics, having some sort of malfunction is not a disqualifier, it's a qualifier. It's like, well, good, because you're just a paperweight that we're going to put here anyway, and then someone else is doing everything, behind the scenes. DC's run by non-elected officials. And so, but the pesky problem is you do have to have an elected official in the spot. So it's like, okay, we'll put him there, but we're going to run him too. So even the elected officials are just paperweights for the most part.
Yeah. Do you remember, guys, when he was running, we were told that we couldn't make fun of him for his speech issues because he was able to actually formulate a complete sentence. And we were told that he has a disability. You can't make fun of him. And then as soon as he was elected, he went away for a couple of months because he was suffering from depression. And obviously he was not in front of the camera. But, he's still working, but he has to be in the hospital. This is why you can't let people guilt you out of it, right? So they're going to say that because he suffered a stroke, you can't make fun of him, you can't talk about it, you can't state the obvious, that he's just completely mentally incapable of becoming any representative, whether it's a small state House representative or U.S. senator. They try to guilt people out of talking about it so often, and so many people just comply with that. You can't comply. Like, so many Pennsylvania voters submitted their mail-in ballots prior to seeing him on the debate stage. And they need to learn their lesson. That's what you guys get, because he was such a horrible candidate from the beginning. You didn't care because you didn't like Dr. Oz. I didn't like Dr. Oz either. I didn't think he was the best even in the primary. There are so many better options for Pennsylvanians. But people need to realize you should not just vote for somebody just because, well, it's better than this person. This is what you get. This is the result. And that's why so many people rely on just kind of guilting voters into saying, well, you have to support him because he has a disability. He doesn't have a disability. He's an unhealthy man, and he suffered the consequences of being an unhealthy man. Clearly has not learned a lesson.
Yeah, that's the difference. Is he's running for a specific job that has certain requirements to it, so you can bring those things up. You know, I may not be the fastest person in the whole world, but if I was auditioning for a job and going for a tryout for the Kansas City Chiefs, that would probably be on their list. You get, well, you're judging me because I'm not as fast as these other guys. Well, this job sort of requires speed. You know, when you're trying to get a certain position, like there's only 2 of those per state. You gotta be somewhat sharp.
Yep. Very true. Yeah. So true. Okay, last one. All right, so this is on protesters. Far left insurrectionists have stormed Speaker Kevin McCarthy's office, and we've got a video for that so people can kind of see what's happening there. But you say, do they have a permit? I know J6 defendants sitting in prison for exercising their right to protest. They even had Wow. All right. So what's your take on that? We're seeing a lot of crazy stuff with J6 people now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? We're hearing rumors too that the DC gulag is back on COVID lockdowns as well, which means that the inmates who are in there right now, the J6 defendants, are on 23-hour lockdown pretty much, so they can only leave their cells for 1 hour a day. They lose access to religious services as well as family visits if this is true. I've contacted the jail twice over there, and they refuse to even give comments. And so now we're escalating the issue and going about telling people members of Congress. I know Congressman Troy Nels's team is on it right now, and they're trying to get some answers. But these individuals have been abused by the DOJ and our prison system. And so it's a luxury to be a lefty, to be able to walk through the Capitol and host protests like that. I most definitely can promise you that they did not have a probably permit to protest that in Kevin McCarthy's office. And they were all peacefully walked away. There was no Capitol police officers shooting rubber bullets at them. There was no police officers just holding their gun finger on the trigger for these individuals. Unfortunately, like Ashley Babbitt had to endure. It's pretty alarming. It's pretty disgusting, but this is the world we live in. We see journalists being indicted for just simply going into the Capitol with these protesters and filming. I'm sure those lefties, the one who's recording that, I'm sure their individual did not get indicted or did not get arrested. It's a 2-tier justice system, as many of your viewers know, and it's disturbing, but did Kevin McCarthy make a statement on it? I didn't see any of it. And he runs Capitol Police. I know they were arrested, but likely that we'll have those charges dropped and they won't be actually prosecuted. So it's just a 2-tier justice system, and Republicans are in on it too.
Man. BreannaMorello.com. You can go there, get access to all of this information firsthand. And I encourage you to do it because there's a spin going on every single day, and she kind of breaks it down. She does it with some humor and a soft touch and a light hand sometimes, but the point gets across, and we all need to know what's up. So that's her Twitter. Go there, hit follow. Let's get your numbers up. I think the more people that are hearing you, then it helps balance out all the crazy that's out there.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Do your feet ache and throb in pain with every step you take every day of your life? Well, kiss those days goodbye with slippers from MyPillow.com. How about that flimsy, flat little excuse for a pillow that's nothing but 8 hours of disappointment, causing you pain in your neck every single night? You can wake up with nothing but butterflies and rainbows around your head with a MyPillow pillow. Those hardwood floors hurting your old bones? No more with a MyPillow dog bed. Are your towels worn thin, flimsy, more patchy than Joe Biden's memory? There's nothing better than absorbent towels from MyPillow.com. For all of these products and more, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code FLYOVER for up to 66% off.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0. When I invented my pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
Visit MyPillow.com.
Are you having a hard time sleeping at night? Thinking, what am I going to do about my finances?
You know, times are really changing. They're changing fast. Let me give you a quick example of how. In 1920, if you had a $20 bill and 1 ounce of gold, you could go into any men's clothing store and buy an entire suit. You could buy the jacket, the shirt, the belt, shoes, the whole bit. Today, that $20 bill, what's it going to get you?
Not much.
Maybe the socks, maybe a handkerchief, but the 1 ounce of gold could still buy you the entire suit at any men's store in America. That's the difference. That's what inflation does to your dollar. It's a deflating dollar caused by inflation. Now today, that's happening faster than ever. You need somebody that you trust that can help get you out of a fake currency and into something that's going to keep you safe.
And we know a guy that has 2 PhDs by the name of Dr. Kirk Elliott. We have known him for over 25 years, and he's someone we completely trust.
You need somebody that you can get a hold of, somebody that's going to be there for you to get back out of it, and then maybe back into the stock market, maybe back into something else when things settle down. But right now is not that time. You need somebody that you trust and somebody you can call and make those worries go away.
That's exactly right. So you can go to flyovergold.com, fill out your information for a free consultation, or you can call 720-605-3900. Do it today.
You'll be glad you did.
For more great content, go to flyoverconservatives.com.